Let's talk my mock draft. And we're going to kind of shift roles here.
Yes.
Since I wrote this mock draft, you're going to read
Host
picks.
role.
Yeah, you're going to play the host role. Read picks 1 through 5, and we'll touch on some of the notables, some of the analysis, and go from there. Go ahead and rip this mock.
Yeah, let's touch on it. Worst mock ever already, I can tell. Number 1, Jacksonville Jaguars select quarterback Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson. Number 2, New York Jets go Zach Wilson, the BYU QB. No surprises yet. Number 3, here we go, Eagles fans. Justin Fields, Ohio State. They trade up the Eagles with the Dolphins. That one's interesting. Number 4, QBs 1, 2, 3, 4 for the first time in NFL history. Atlanta Falcons select quarterback Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. And then number 5, Bengals dream, Penei Sewell drops in their lap.
I did number 5 for Quinn and Quinn only. Yeah. Penei Sewell, that situation is a dream scenario for the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think it could happen if we do see, like you said, for the first time in NFL history, 4 quarterbacks go back to back to back to back. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, or the most obvious kind of outlandish, not outlandish, but outlier pick compared to other mock drafts.
The one that's going to get you death threats.
Yes, I did get death threats. Let me preface it with this. We had this mock draft come out yesterday, and I have obviously the Philadelphia Eagles trading up to go get Justin Fields. There are literally Eagles fans, and I've talked about NFL fandom on this podcast before and how psychotic it can be.
Yeah.
Eagles fans asking for my address to send me bombs. Multiple ones telling me how much Jalen Hurts squats. One of them said, "Do you realize how
much does he squat?"
600 plus pounds, according to multiple sources.
He did win like a Texas weightlifting title back in high school.
Someone said, "Do you not realize how tough Jalen Hurts is?" Someone said that. The lead
then
DM.
He can handle some competition.
Exactly. So let me talk about this pick overall. Obviously, Philadelphia Eagles fans are reacting insanely. The most common feedback I got was, "Why would you not just try to build around Hurts? Why would you not just try to build around Hurts?" And I said, that is a strategy you can take. I said there are 2 strategies really that the Eagles can take right now.
Yeah.
None of which involve Carson Wentz. I think at this point he is being traded away. Chicago is the favorite. Indy's a close second. The highest bidder is going to get Carson Wentz, whether that's 2 firsts, a first and a second, or 2 second rounders. I think 2 second rounders is what I'm hearing. I could see that happening soon. So either way, you're either building around Jalen Hurts with the draft capital you allocate from the Carson Wentz trade, or you're using that draft capital to try and make an upgrade at that position. There isn't a single analyst in the country that would say Jalen Hurts is a better prospect than Justin Fields coming out. Not at all. I don't think there's one. I'm hopeful to find it.
I don't think it's close.
And I don't think it's close. There's a reason Jalen Hurts went in the second round. Yeah. All 32 teams passed on him at least once. Justin Fields is legitimately talked about as the number 2, if not the number 3 quarterback in this class.
I would go as far as to say, I'm not sure there's a single thing Jalen Hurts does better about the quarterback position than Justin Fields.
That's a quote graphic. Social team is jumping on that, my friend, and I love it. Either way, those are 2 strategies. And the Eagles fans that DM'd me, and the ones that I did respond to, I said, one is building around Hurts. One is trying to get aggressive and get better at the quarterback position. The Hurts one, I feel less confident in because I do feel like the probability that he develops into a top 10, top 5 quarterback is lower than the probability that Fields does, regardless of supporting cast. So they go up, use the Wentz deal, plus the number 6 pick to go grab Justin Fields before the Falcons can take him, because I do think they're thinking about quarterback in this class.
Yeah.
And bringing in Justin Fields, the number 1 counter argument is, after what about building around Hurts, is he'll have no one. You can't build around him. I'm telling you right now, the number 6 pick by itself, and even the 2 picks you get in the Wentz trade, are not bringing this Eagles team enough to make them uber competitive with Jalen Hurts under center. I'm sorry. And you don't have to immediately trade Jalen Hurts away. You can keep him to compete. You can have him compete with Fields and Hurts here. And if there's any team in the NFL, if there's any fan base in the NFL that should understand the value of quarterbacks, it's the Philadelphia Eagles. Because Carson Wentz, the worst quarterback in the NFL last year, at his lowest perceived value, is probably going to get multiple picks, multiple top 50 picks in exchange for his services. Yeah. Think about what you can get for Jalen Hurts if he plays a handful of good games ahead of Justin Fields, or vice versa. The quarterback position is too valuable to pass up on.
Still priors. A lot of that. No, people believe Wentz was MVP level at some point, so then they continue to believe that. No one believed Hurts was ever first round, so he has to kind of disprove that.
No,
so
absolutely.
Someone like in the 6th round, you're drafting Gardner Minshew, you're not all of a sudden going to get a second rounder in return just because he played well for a little bit. You're gonna have to really disprove it at that point from your prior opinion on a guy. But when you're drafting a guy number 3 overall, Justin Fields, where a lot of people have high grades on him, the prior is very good.
Josh Rosen still got a 2nd round pick.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that some of the Eagles fans are saying you can win with Jalen Hurts. And I said the Kansas City Chiefs could win with Alex Smith. They went to playoffs with Alex Smith. Yeah. The following offseason, they said it's not enough. We need to go get the guy, and traded up multiple picks to go get Patrick Mahomes. This isn't the same situation because they don't even have a guy that's as good as Alex Smith. Jalen Hurts is not even that level.
That's the thing. I don't think Eagles fans realize, or want to accept that they won 4 games last year. You don't win 4 games when you're a good team. I'm sorry, you just don't.
Yeah.
You have 1 6th overall pick, 1 whatever overall pick is not going to transform your fortune next year.
It's not.
Sorry.
And especially if you do get more picks in a Carson Wentz trade. Like, because the other thing is like, okay, you'd have to trade number 6 and maybe a future first, future second to come up. But if you get those picks in the Wentz trade and Wentz and the number 6 pick becomes Justin Fields, that's a steal.
Unless
that's a
it's
steal.
A quarterback. That's the only one that can change fortune like that.
All right, let's get to the next 5.
All right, next 5. Here we go. Miami Dolphins at number 6, obviously after trading with the Eagles. They go wide receiver Jamar Chase out of LSU. Detroit Lions licking their chops because the top linebacker is still on the board. They go Micah Parsons out of Penn State. Carolina Panthers stand pat, not in the quarterback class here. They go tight end Kyle Pitts out of Florida. Denver Broncos, edge rusher Kwity Paye out of Michigan. A lot of upset Broncos fans. How does he see the field there? Dallas Cowboys go Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. That one's going to get mocked a ton, either him or Surtain there at number 10. Let's go with the Broncos one, though. I want to hear this reasoning. Kwity Paye out of Michigan at number 9.
So the number one reason, so I do think he sees the field.
With Bradley Chubb and Von Miller, by the way.
Von Miller, 31, coming off a severe ankle injury and currently under criminal investigation. You don't know no one knows. I Googled the Von Miller story like 30 times trying to find any additional information since January, and they are keeping everything behind closed doors.
Texts were bad, if you've not seen the text.
I haven't seen the texts.
Oh, you haven't seen the texts?
What were the texts?
They were like texts to his, supposedly leaked texts to his baby mama about saying something about persuading her to get an abortion. It was bad.
Oh, man. So, okay, either way, Von Miller, 31, coming off an ankle injury with a criminal investigation.
Alleged, by the way.
There might be some opportunity to upgrade that position. I think Kwity Paye is that good. Like I do think Caleb Farley here is an option. I think Patrick Surtain here is an option, but Kwity Paye getting better at pass rush, I think is definitely the move.
God damn it! I just laughed thinking about. Never mind that being a quote graphic because you talked about the quote graphic.
No, that's not going to be a quote graphic. And then you mentioned too the Carolina Panthers not in the quarterback conversation. All 4 are gone. Like if all 4 are gone, taking the best player available like Kyle Pitts. And I think it was first the PFF NFL podcast that brought up how good Pitts would be in Joe Brady's offense and adding another weapon. Are you going to win the big dance with Teddy Bridgewater and all the weapons in the world? Probably not. But you put yourself in this situation. You put yourself in this bridge quarterback situation. You might as well add as many weapons as possible in the meantime. And then the other pick that I think I wanted to highlight was Jamar Chase going to the Dolphins. They trade down from 3 to 6, allocate some of the capital from that Wentz trade that the Eagles sent over, and then add the number 1 receiver in this class, in our opinion, or just a top receiver, whether it's Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, I do think is a monster step in the right direction to building around Tua Tagovailoa, buying into this Brandon Beane level of roster development where we have the quarterback, or at least we think we do, and we're going to throw the kitchen sink at building around him. Let's start with the wide receiver position. Let's bring in Jamar Chase.
Yeah, and I wrote about Jamar Chase last Friday, if you want to go check it out on PFF.com. Just breaking down basically strengths and weaknesses of his game, how he wins. And for that offense, now it's obviously going to be different this year, new offense coordinator, but like with Tua Tagovailoa, I think he's their best sort of mesh with him. Now, obviously, Devontae Smith already played with Tua Tagovailoa, but I think for how Tua Tagovailoa wins, I think Jamar Chase is your best bet there at the receiver position.
Let's get to the next 5.
All right, next 5. That's my role, excuse me.
Sorry.
I get to say that. All right, number 11, you have the New York Giants going wide receiver Jalen Waddle from Alabama. Steal. 12, 49ers getting Devon Smith. Typo there on the website. Devontae Smith from Alabama. That's your job. Number 13, we have the Los Angeles Chargers going Rashawn Slater, Northwestern. Love that fit. Minnesota Vikings getting offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. And then 15, New England Patriots, Christian Barmore, defensive tackle out of Alabama. And Patriots fans everywhere just let out a collective sigh.
They're really upset with that pick.
Yeah.
I didn't get any bomb threats like I did from Philly for that pick, but they're not happy.
They're too like high off the hog. They're still fat from all the wins, so they can't be that mad at all the championships.
There probably isn't a fan base in the NFL that is.
But they're just like annoyed at this point that they just haven't had a good draft pick in like 3 years.
I don't know what it feels like, but I'm sure it's very difficult to come out of a dynasty and feel like you can't get right back in it. You know what I mean? Like other fan bases are way used to being bad. Like so many fan bases over the past 10, 15 years have been bad at least 1 or 2 seasons. The Patriots simply have not. Like they have been good even when Tom Brady was hurt that entire season. They went 11-5. Like getting adjusted to your roster is bad, your quarterback is bad, this isn't good. is not going to be easy. But starting with Giants picking Waddle over Smith. He's ranked higher on PFF's big board, and I also think adding some speed is big for that Giants receiving core. And San Francisco 49ers fans don't like the Devontae Smith pick. They think they already invested in wide receiver. They have Deebo Samuel. They have Brandon Ayuk. But I don't think they have that true alpha on the outside that can win consistently like a Devontae Smith can. And I do think that if the San Francisco 49ers are going to buy into this fact that we're winning with Jimmy G, similar to the Carolina Panthers situation, if we got to try and win with Teddy B, it's like, well, you better do it with all the best weapons in the world. You're going to need a receiving core that is close to what the Dallas Cowboys have, what the Kansas City Chiefs have, and a ton of weapons. And I think adding another guy there at 12, I think the value does make sense. And there might be some people who are like, are you serious? Devontae Smith falling to 12 with Chase and Waddle going ahead? Daniel Jeremiah of NFL.com had Devontae Smith falling to 14 after Smith, after Chase, after Waddle, all the way to 14 in the Minnesota Vikings. So I do not think this is as outlandish. And we were kind of first on this idea that Devontae Smith is not the obvious wide receiver one. And then you've started to see more analysts, more media kind of buy into that, except for ESPN.
Trendsetters. We're trendsetters.
ESPN is still saying Devontae Smith's the number one receiver. I think Mel Kiper has him as the number 2 or number 3 player in the class. That I think you could see come down. I do. I honestly think as you get closer to the draft, Mel Kiper is going to drop Devontae Smith down his board. Full stop. You could quote me on that. I do think that happens. Anyway.
Okay.
The next few picks here, Slater of the Chargers is constantly mocked. Vikings adding offensive tackle I think is big. And for the Barmore pick, it's like I've had this conversation about Patriots fans a ton. It's like, do not force a Mac Jones here because you need to try and get competitive fast. Like, we don't have an answer at quarterback. I've said this, I'll say it again. They should have taken 2020. They didn't. But don't do this again in that you're going to try and find this quarterback that isn't even a top 4 quarterback in this class. You're better off building up the roster that is admittedly bad with a defensive tackle, with a receiver, continuing to add pieces at other positions, and hoping that you land a top 5 pick next year to go grab a Slovis, a Howell, a Rattler, or whoever it may be.
I think characterizing it should have tanked in 2020 is not how I would say what they should have done. They should have realized that they have old position players who are still valuable. Guys like Stephon Gilmore, guys like maybe Jason McCourty, who have trade value, kind of like what the Jaguars did, realizing that, hey, Calais Campbell has trade value right now. Like, we have guys who we can flip for picks. Yannick Ngakoue has trade value. Let's flip them for picks, and then we'll have cap space also sooner rather than later on guys like that. And so they didn't. They stuck with it. They went into the no man's land of picking 15th in the NFL draft. And now they're completely, for what I would say, most likely out of this quarterback class altogether, unless it's Mac Jones. They're out of the top of the quarterback class. I don't think they're getting one of those top 4, unfortunately. If things went otherwise, if they're picking somewhere 8, 9, they'd be in on one of those top 4, but they're not. So
and the other thing I'll add about Christian Barmore before you jump to the next 5, and we'll get into this when we break down your big board, but Christian Barmore is the number 14 player on PFF's big board right now, the number 1 defensive tackle.
He's sweet, man. Barmore's
awesome.
Good.
And the next defensive tackle on the board is Aleem McNeil at 47. Okay, and Eric Eager said this in a Slack chat today. It's like he thinks teams will not overdraft, but draft Barmore higher, knowing that if you have a need at defensive tackle and you want to add some juice there, it's not going to come on day 2, day 3. Like, this is not a deep defensive tackle class.
Positional scarcity is a real thing in the NFL draft. And we'll actually get to, that's a good tease. We're going to get to that when we go to the big board, kind of tiering the classes at certain
I'm a natural host, Mike. I know how to tease, man.
Tiers. So well done.
It's the pleasing where I struggle. Tease is every, I got it all.
That's what they tell me. All right. Number 16, we got Arizona Cardinals going cornerback Patrick Surtain out of Alabama. Obviously, Patrick Peterson. They're parting ways this offseason. So the need there, obvious. 17, Las Vegas Raiders going Jason Owe, edge defender out of Penn State. I'm not sure he's gritty enough. 18, Miami Dolphins going edge defender Gregory Rousseau out of Miami. Staying home there. Washington football team at 19 going J.C. Horn, South Carolina. And then at number 20, we have offensive tackle Tevin Jenkins of Oklahoma State going to the Chicago Bears.
So Patrick Surtain, I rarely have seen him mocked out after like 10. Like, everyone has him either going to Denver or Dallas. In this situation, I obviously have Denver grabbing Kwity Paye and then teams attacking other needs before that. If he falls to 16, and I know he's the 16th ranked player on PFF's board right now, but a lot of people see him as a top 10 player in this class. At 16, I really like the value for Arizona, especially with Patrick Peterson on his way out. I also went the Las Vegas Raiders not addressing linebacker, not grabbing Nick Bolton or Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I think the better positional value and the better player really at this point is Jason Oweh of Penn State, a guy with legitimate juice, doesn't have the pass rush production, a young player. He is an arm and a leg better of an athlete and more explosive than what Clelin Ferrell brings to the table. And despite as much investment as they've made in the defensive line,
talk bad about Clelin Ferrell.
Like they drafted Clelin Ferrell, Arden Key, Max Crosby, Maurice Hurst, signed Malik Collins in free agency, like Jonathan Hankins. Like they've done so much to try and make up for the Khalil Mack trade. It hasn't worked. The only way you're really going to do it is if you buy into like a legit rare athlete. And I think that's exactly what Jason Oweh is. Does he need to develop at the next level? Absolutely. But I think that makes sense to me at 17. After that, Rousseau.
Max Crosby was a rare athlete, though.
No, he was
twisted.
No,
that man had a freaky combine.
He did. No, you're right. I think weight was the thing, right? And adding weight was the big thing. But Miami, Greg Rousseau, I like that. I like him staying home. It's way better than the pick I continue to see is Najee Harris at 18. I don't think you should go running back if you're Miami at 18. I think
they got no needs, though. No other needs.
They have needs. I'm telling you right now, they've got needs. And Rousseau at 18, I think, is awesome. Horn over some of the slot cornerbacks I like in this class at 19. And then Chicago, best offensive tackle available, meets need here. And Tevin Jenkins.
All right, let's kick it to the next 5 then. We got the Indianapolis Colts at 21 going wide receiver Rondale Moore out of Purdue to try to replace T.Y.
Stay home.
Hilton there.
That's another stay home.
Yeah, stay home, although he's from Louisville.
Kill me.
Tennessee,
no, I get what you're saying.
Straight down state. I think he might actually be from the Indiana side of Louisville.
Oh, let's go.
So, your money. At 22, we have the Tennessee Titans going Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia, edge rusher, to pair with my boy out of Boston College there, Harold Landry. Number 23, New York Jets, Rashad Bateman, the Minnesota wide receiver. Number 24, and again, not running back. At number 24, Pittsburgh Steelers going Jalen Phillips, edge defender out of Miami, to replace Bud Dupree, who's likely to leave in free agency. And then Jacksonville Jaguars at 25, Trayvon Moehrig, the safety out of TCU, because they just need help in that secondary.
Yeah, I think I'll start. I think Azeez Ojulari is a constant mock. I love Rondale Moore to the Colts, and I know Colts fans do too. A lot of Purdue fans love that fit. Bateman to the Jets, I think, is something you've seen a ton. Let's start with Jalen Phillips to Pittsburgh.
Okay.
You see a lot of running backs mocked to the Pittsburgh Steelers or offensive linemen. I do think that offensive tackle or edge is the play for Pittsburgh with where they're at and where we think the draft does fall. I think they can get a very good edge defender or a very good offensive tackle in this class at 24. You don't have to force a quote-unquote need at running back. And as for Jalen
I liked
Phillips,
Alex Highsmith, though, as a rookie. Like, he was
No, I do too. And I do too. And you don't
rounder.
have to start Jalen Phillips out of the gate. You know, if you want to give Highsmith the opportunity to start or say they do re-sign Bud Dupree, what they want is a consistent cycle of really good pass rushers. Yeah, and they love those athletic freaks on the end. You got TJ Watt, Bud Dupree, Highsmith, and you add Phillips in there. Like, that's a rotation that keeps this defense from regressing as far
dominant
as people
D-line. Holes in the secondary get kind of covered up a little bit there.
And Phillips is rare, man. We're working to get him on the podcast, and I talked to Gregory Rousseau about him, and like, he's rare. I also talked to...
He quote-tweeted me last Friday when I tweeted about Trevor Lawrence.
Who did?
Jalen Phillips.
Oh, nice. He's active on Twitter. I also talked to Osa Odigizua, who was a former teammate of Jalen Phillips when he was at UCLA. And he says they're workout partners at Exos in, I think, somewhere in California. And he says he probably outlifts him, but Jalen Phillips is like one of the fastest players at his size he's ever seen. Yeah. Like, I honestly think that Jalen Phillips is going to get slept on in this class, or at least was. Now I think consistently getting mocked at the back end of the first round. I feel confident in that. And then a quality tease. I talked to Trayvon Moehrig recently. Goes number 25, the Jacksonville Jaguars. For the same reason Barmore is going to be coveted highly. Moehrig, I think I could see coveted really highly. I think he's the best free safety prospect in this class, and I don't think it's close. And I think he can play a lot of different things as well.
Shots fired at Andre Cisco.
Shot fires at Andre Cisco. But right now on PFF's board, courtesy of you, Trayvon Moehrig, he goes by Trey. He let me call him Trey, so either way. Trey Moehrig at number 17. After that, the next best safety is TCU's Ardarius Washington at number 42. Like, if you want a legitimate safety prospect, it's going to have to come high, and I think at 25 for Jacksonville, I think that's a power move.
I can get on board with it, because we'll talk about this later. Safety is a valuable position. Versatile safety in today's NFL has a ton of value, in my humble opinion.
Let's read the bottom 7.
But, all right, last portion of the mock. Cleveland Browns linebacker. Everyone's got them going linebacker. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame. Baltimore Ravens, Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC to fix that offensive line. New Orleans Saints going quarterback Mac Jones out of Alabama. I do love that fit. I wonder if he falls all the way to them. Green Bay Packers going Kadarius Toney, wide receiver out of Florida. Gotta love it. Wide receiver, not really going to happen, but Still got to love it. Number 30, Buffalo Bills going Asante Samuel Jr. out of Florida State. I could actually see that. Number 31, Kansas City Chiefs going Dylan Raduns. Radens. I fucking bet. Out of North Dakota State, the offensive tackle / could play interior offensive line for them early. And then Bucks going offensive tackle Samuel Cosme. Let's start with that one.
Yeah.
That one jumped out right away because they just signed Donovan Smith to a deal. And now they got Tristan Wirfs.
Donovan Smith, I think, could be a cap casualty this offseason. If they look to sign Levante David, they can save a decent amount of money. $14 million in cap space with zero dead cap if they release Donovan Smith. Ooh. Should they do that? They just won a Super Bowl with Donovan Smith. And he's coming off the highest graded season of his career. I'm not saying it's likely, but he could be. And the reason for that is that Levante David, Shaquille Barrett, and Chris Godwin are all free agents.
Yeah.
I think Ndamukong Suh is also a free agent. Yeah. He might retire, whatever. But if you want to bring back David, Godwin, or Barrett, I think making a move off of Donovan Smith, potentially kicking Tristan Wirfs to left, and then starting to invest in the offensive line again in this offensive line class makes a ton of sense. You have 8 offensive tackles in your top 40 on PFF's draft board. This is a legitimately good offensive tackle class. And at the back end of the first round, trying to jump on these guys before they start coming off the board in bunches in day 2, I think could be a power move. And Sam Cosme, though he lacks that strength, I do think he has a ton of freaky tools. Former 4-star, 5-star recruit that he'll develop. I think his best football is ahead of him in the NFL. And I think working with Tristan Wirfs, working with the Buccaneers and that offensive line, even if Donovan Smith comes back, having that as a swing piece. We've seen what happens when you lose an offensive tackle. We've seen what happens when one gets injured and you have to play in the Super Bowl. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers saw it firsthand. I like Cosme as a value there at 32.
All right, other one I want to touch on, Buffalo Bills. Give me the rationale here for Asante Samuel. Because I'm a big fan.
I love Asante Samuel Jr. I think he belongs in the first round. I think the Buffalo Bills do a really good job of developing cornerback talent. And as much as I like, Josh Norman, Levi Wallace working opposite of Tre'Davious White, I think trying to get better at that position every year is smart.
As much as you like that.
As much as I like it. Well, I mean, being kind of sarcastic. I do think that they need to get... Okay, this is following the Tampa Bay Buccaneers model. Continue to get better in the secondary. Yeah. You could like Levi Wallace all you want. Like him as your second or third or fourth cornerback and watch your secondary improve. Like I said, whether you like the options you currently have, continue to get better when the value makes sense, specifically here with Asante Samuel Jr., is how you make a legit top-end secondary in the NFL.
I'm working on a theory that I need a name for. Where it's positions like cornerback, where if you add one to that existing group, one good one, it makes multiple different positions better.
Ooh. I think that's something that you should definitely look into.
It's what's a cascade theory? Cascade positions?
Trickle-down effect.
Trickle-down?
Maybe.
The trickle-down positions? Because you add a number one corner to a group that has,
the Jalen Ramsey thing. Well, Jalen Ramsey makes Darius Williams
makes
better.
Your second
Troy
corner
Hill
better. Makes your third corner better. All of a sudden. You don't have Jalen Ramsey. Now Darius Williams is your one. He has to go guard their best receiver. You want that?
No.
That all of a sudden. So positions like cornerback, I think wide receiver would also be one of those. Is that it? Safety maybe? I think that's about it. They have a trickle-down effect when you add one at the top. It makes multiple positions better, not just that position that you got.
It's a good working theory. I struggled with
figure it out.
Keeping Kadarius Toney in the first round. I think I could see him slip to the top of day 2. But for the Green Bay Packers, who have such an obvious need for that kind of role in their offense, they don't...
Oh, don't tell that to Packers fans.
In addition to a need at wide receiver, throw that out. I'm saying they have a need for a guy that is a gadget player. They need a slot that can do fancy things after the catch and be their screen guy. Devontae Adams is best utilized in the role he currently has now. I would not put Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Equanimeous St. Brown, Robert Tonyan, these other pass catchers in any role that Kadarius Toney will play. Bringing him in adds a legitimately another dimension to that offense.
Trickle-down effect.
Trickle-down effect. Either way, that's my mock draft. If you hate it, please DM me a bomb threat. I'm sending out addresses for free.